everyone, it's Shamila Ramchawan coming to you from the Red Corner Show in Johannesburg, South Africa. It's Women's Month in South Africa, and we are celebrating 31 inspirational women from across the globe this August. My guest today is Nuthin Manohar from Kerala, South India. She's the founder of Me Met Me, sleep whisperer, happiness mentor, and Ayurvedic performer. She's a TEDx speaker on therapeutic perfumery and adjunct facility at IIMK, top 5 management institutions in India for self-management, an international corporate trainer with clients such as LinkedIn, Discovery Channel, Indian Navy, and Go Friendly. She has a master's in yoga and an MBA degree. A volunteer movement she had started from her yoga center went on to become a best practice case study acknowledged by UNDP. During the peak of her brand consultancy career, when she was in charge of 11 countries, she faced a host of acute physical and mental challenges. This prompted her to set out on a mission to discover, design, and share techniques to restore health and happiness. In 2020, she was able to assist over 10,000 people across the globe to become resilient to stress, stay happy, and sleep deep. When we combine intense desire, it's called Iccha, right techniques, Kriya, and mindfulness, Gyan, we create the magic the world needs. Hello, Nuthan, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me here today.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And I'm so looking forward to chatting to you, to get to know you a little better, and to know exactly what you do as well, because you have such an interesting bio.
Thank you. I guess life sometimes teaches us things that we never expected. And in my case, I think it was the challenges that I faced, like stress, insomnia, depression, anxiety. And those are the areas that I ended up working on eventually.
Wow. Very, very impressive. Just to start off and get to know you a little better, please tell the audience a little bit about yourself, background, your career, anything that you would like to share with us.
Sure. Thank you. And as Dr. Shamila mentioned, hi, I am Nuthin Manohar. My startup is called Me Met Me. People know me as a sleep whisperer because something about my voice tends to put them to sleep, but then sleep is also an area I work extensively with. So much so that an intervention I have designed has been selected at Harvard Medical School for further research. I work as an adjunct faculty with IIMK, that's one of the best management institutes. The idea is to train students, MBA students, with techniques on stress resiliency, on happiness, so that they do not eventually face a burnout. Fingers crossed, these workshops and these sessions would actually go across many educational institutes in India across the next couple of years. So really excited about that. As Dr. Shamila mentioned, I am a TEDx speaker. I work on perfumery, but again, from a therapeutic aspect. The very first oil I blended was for a heartbreak. And I went on to blend oils for stress, for sleep, for happiness. And to be honest, my background was nothing related to well-being. I used to work in behavior. I used to work in consumer behavior and research. I worked in brand consulting. And when I was 28 years old, I was managing around 11 countries across Asia Pacific, all the way from Australia to India. And one of the main brands I worked on was for Oreos. So most of my life was to figure out how can you influence behavior. So sometimes it is with an ad, maybe in 30 seconds, how do I get you to buy an Oreo cookie? Or maybe it might be working in supermarkets to figure out how do I get into your basket? So various things like that. But it is when I started falling ill, I started asking this question, what is my life all about? Am I going to be a depressed person, or do I have the potential to be happy? What about my behavior can I tweak so that I can become healthier and happier? Is there anything about my brain, my body that I can tweak so that I can do better? So to answer this call, I went on to do a yoga course. I became a yoga teacher. I went on to do my master's in yoga. And for over 11 years, I have been researching on well-being. So physical conditions and mental conditions. But ultimately, I think I've found my niche in working with stress, happiness, and especially sleep. So that's like a quick background for you.
That is absolutely interesting. You've touched so many different areas, and I'm sure you are really fulfilled in what you do. So, if you have to sell me an Oreo in 30 seconds, would you say to me?
Okay, so that's the thing. I'm terrible as a salesperson. Once I started as off as an entrepreneur, I realized my weak point is selling. So I may not be able to sell, but I can observe you and many other women, and then go and tell the salesperson this is how you would get them. So it's the devil's job. All right. So it might be actually through communication. So it's not literally selling per se. It's actually marketing, understanding, say, behavior. So possibly with you, I mean, I would, create this feeling that if you have Oreos, you can have moments of play, moments of togetherness, slow down moments with your family, because you can do a twist, a lick, a dunk in milk, things that we really don't have time for anymore. So when I sell you that thought, that's when you get hooked onto the product. Because otherwise, I can go ahead and keep pushing a product onto you. But this way, you would come and ask for it yourself.
Simply love that. And I think it's all about sussing a person's personality out as well.
True. So all about behavior is, understanding that. Because if you go out and try to, especially when you're working with a brand and when you're looking at consumers, you can't be everyone's everything. So you will have to kind of understand what is the target you're working with. What is their culture like? What are their habits like? What is their attitude towards food, towards snacking, if that's what you're working on? And then see how do you fit in. You would also want to see how are your competitors, maybe what are the other brands of cookies and how are they kind of trying to connect to you. You would want to be slightly more, special and unique. So how do we get into your mind? Because if the cookie exists in your mind, then it'll definitely come in your basket. So that used
Love
to be
it.
my.
Absolutely love it. And you've developed special oils for heartbreak. Tell me about that. That is really interesting.
So I was going through a heartbreak, and that's actually when I started, really, really looking into what is life all about, and all that. And I remember walking into this shop, which is, one of the best shops for essential oils in India. Those days, I used to live in Hong Kong, and I was visiting India at that time. And I just started smelling oils. I know that they smell nice, and I never really thought about it in terms of therapeutic aspects. But because I was already doing a lot of yoga practice, my nose became really, really sensitive. So I recall smelling a couple of roses. It was auto rose and white rose. And I remember smelling these oils, and it felt really, really good. So, the feeling was not just in my nose, it was actually in my body, especially in my chest. And with their permission, I started blending few oils, which was bergamot and basil, and a bit of very special turmeric, which is from India. And I remember smelling it, and it was almost like someone just opened something up in my chest. And it felt really, really good. Now, being a behavior analyst, I thought, okay, this is me. What about others? So then what happened is when I went back to Hong Kong and I would see friends or, colleagues going through a heartbreak, I would make them smell this. And here is what I noticed. There was one particular girl, she was sitting in the office and really crying. She was holding tissues and all that. And I give her this little roll on to smell. And she starts smelling, and then I see that she's no longer crying. So, being a researcher, I went in.
Wow, that is so amazing.
Now, what I did is I went and took away the oil for her to see what is going to happen. I'm a bit weird that way. I like to really research. And noticed is that she started crying again. Then I felt really bad. So I kind of, went and gave her the oil and I said, you can keep it. And the fact is that she started feeling better. So I started studying what is causing this. So the thing is, when we are in love, there are certain oils, there are certain compounds the body produces in terms of hormones, in terms of chemical compounds. And rose has something very similar. So when you stop, when you have a breakup, you suddenly don't have this compound. So you can actually use a good rose oil to sort of substitute. Likewise, when you kind of not, when you break up, there's a lot of physical pain. There's a lot of pain in your heart. It's called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. It's a condition of the heart where you really feel that physical pain. Grief actually does change the shape of your heart. It can actually cause you a physically broken heart. So when you use basil, bergamot, and turmeric, it really reduces that feeling of pain, and the energy kind of, you feel it in your chest. So that's the oil that I've blended, and I think it's my all-time best. But of course, rose oils, pure rose oils are very, very expensive. I'm not really sure how to convert, but then I mean, a kilo of rose oil is extremely expensive. So that's the downside of a heartbreak. You're fixing it, it's quite expensive.
Well, that's okay. I think if there is a remedy, why not?
True, that's true. So actually in future, I'm in the process of setting up personalized Ayurvedic perfumery in Europe. But because of COVID, there has been a pause. So the idea is that if someone comes with a heartbreak, depending on their body type, in Ayurveda, you have different body types. Depending on how did their energy centers get affected, I blend for them. And plus, I give them certain interventions. Do this kind of breathing technique, or maybe do this kind of an affirmation. Combine it and then gift it. Likewise, for stress, for sleep, I would have loved to work on heartbreak, but then I haven't been able to find universities interested in the research.
I'm sure it will come one day.
Sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure that that's going to happen too. I mean, I never thought that, my sleep intervention would get selected in Harvard, and miracles do happen. And just keep on at it. I mean, if you believe in something and there is something that's good for the world, just continue your path, and things just open up magically.
Absolutely. And I can see that you found your passion, but helping over 10,000 people to, become resilient to stress, stay happy, and sleep deep. How do you do that? Just if you want to share some of your techniques, because me, for one, I have a problem sleeping, but it's not because I can't sleep. I think because I tend to take on too much. So I have just minimal amount of sleep that I can have per night because of the amount of work that I do. But when I do break my sleep, then I have a real hassle trying to get back into that sleep mode. So I'm sure you have all the techniques to do that. Do you maybe want to share some of that?
Sure. So how did I get to interact with 10,000 people? The fact is, okay, again, as an individual, we may not be able to. But thankfully, I've been able to connect to communities, and that's actually helped. So beginning of COVID, when I was literally planning my launch into Europe, I realized I'm going to be stuck in India. That's when the Kerala police, the government of Kerala, contacted me to see if I can do some work with kids who are facing a lot of difficulties. And we started with that. It was meant for 30 students. And then what happened is we had 2,000 kids coming into the Zoom session every day. What was meant for 5 days went on for 20 days. Likewise, I got an opportunity to work with LinkedIn. And because now people are comfortable working online, it was not just one department or one branch, it was across Southeast Asia. So Southeast Asia and India, all the branches could actually participate. Say likewise with Discovery, and so various organizations. I think the last year I have really lost count of the number of companies I managed to connect with and do workshops, and communities also. Some of the communities are poor, some of the minority communities need a lot of help, and in those cases I go ahead and do it for free so that they can actually benefit from it. And workshop plus follow-up so that you really practice and all that. Back to sleep. Now, here's the thing. I understand completely when you say you do not have time to sleep. Some days I don't have time to sleep. But when we realize that sleep is not just rest, it is the time when, for instance, your muscle repair happens then. So if you're working out in a gym, your muscles actually get built when you sleep. Your fat loss happens when you sleep. Your skin rejuvenation happens when you sleep. Your, memory actually refreshes, and you store long-term memory in your sleep. So many things happen in your sleep which cannot happen in your day. So if you really want to actually increase your productivity, I always recommend sleep. For instance, even if you have stress, if you can increase the amount of sleep you get, 7 to 9 hours is what is recommended.
Oh
If
my
you can,
goodness. Where do I find 7 hours?
5 to 7, I know, I mean, it's hard, but then it's a lot to do with how we have been trained. We've often, even I heard as a kid that, you can sleep when you die, or,
Yes.
or lazy people, she's lazy, she's always sleeping, or he's lazy, he's always sleeping. All that, that's actually the wrong reputation that sleep has developed. Once we understand that sleep is going to give you so many superpowers, whether it's reducing stress, whether it's improving digestion, whether it's improving your decision-making processes, because especially your sleep has different stages. Okay, in specific stages, your decision-making processes actually improve. Okay, so you're going to miss out on all that when you don't sleep. All
Yes.
right. So one part of the education for sleep is to tell people how important it is. What are the benefits you can get? And also, yes, some days we can't sleep. For instance, I mean, maybe mothers who recently had children, they may not be able to sleep well. So in that case, what can you do? But then that's for a short time, like, for maybe a couple of years at the most. But
Mhm.
beyond that, the idea is to develop a routine where you definitely give your body what it needs. That way you're happier, healthier, shinier, everything.
Yes. Yes. And I think this is why I have bad skin. It's because of the lack of sleep. But I think also it plays a huge role in your moods as well.
Definitely. So a simple thing that you can do to improve your mood is sleep. Because when we say we are having a bad mood, it is actually cortisol going in through your body. You're vigilant, you're stressed, the body biochemistry changes. When you go to sleep, it again changes, it goes into relaxation, it goes into restoration. So when you wake up, you feel much better. Likewise, it's been found in UK, accidents, much more than drinking, it's actually lack of sleep. The body tries to make up for lack of sleep. So,
Mhm.
you might have micro sleeps, which causes road accidents. So many mistakes that we make, even unintentionally and unknowingly, are related to sleep. So there was a study which looked at people who sleep less than 5 hours and see how many mistakes that they make. They don't realize it, but then there are mistakes that they're making. Then, when you do 5 to 7 hours, maybe the first few days you don't make mistakes, but after a period of time, you make as many mistakes as someone who was sleeping less than 5 hours. Okay, and people who do 7 to 9, the chances of errors are lesser. So definitely, one of the worst disasters from lack of sleep was actually the Challenger mission, the spaceship. It exploded, everybody died. People were doing with 2 to 3 hours of sleep.
Sure.
And every decision that went wrong was actually linked back to sleep. So sleep is
Wow.
considered extremely important.
Wow.
So
So you call
superpower.
yourself the sleep whisperer. So what sort of technique would you advise for someone to actually use to try and sleep?
So I think of it in terms of 3 rituals. So 5 to 7 p.m., teaching yourself to unwind, to finish all the stressful work before 5 o'clock. So that 5 to 7, your body gets into this mode of, okay, now I can chill out a bit more. 7 to 9, it should be more of happiness, not excitement, happiness. So what are the things that you can do to be happier during that time? Happiness for your body, what is that? Happiness within your family, what is that? So doing all that, if you get excited, you may not sleep either, all right? Then finally comes this ritual of trust. So this is maybe 9 to 10 or 7 to 9, so 9 to 10, 10:30 p.m. is about creating the surroundings, creating the haven for sleep. So it may be, making the room really dark, really comfortable, the kind of, say, essential oils that you would use, all that which really gives you a feeling that you can trust the environment. Because if you trust the environment, you will fall asleep faster. You might have felt this, when we go to some really nice resorts or hotels, no matter what we do, we can't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That's because the brain is like, this is not familiar. So when something is not familiar, the brain kind of stays up to make sure that you don't get into trouble, because the
Yes.
brain was designed long back, much before luxury resorts, where you're really wondering whether you're going to get attacked by a saber-toothed tiger, right? So that's the kind of thing that, your brain is doing. Interestingly, and I mean, even if you did not have a brain, if you are part of the, live animal kingdom, or, even plant kingdom, even if you don't have a brain, there is sleep. So sleep is definitely important. So I would say simple thing that you can do to improve your quality of life is make sure you get a lot of sleep.
Thank you. Definitely, I'm going to work on that. For
Thank
sure.
you.
I think I have to, especially if I want to have a good life.
Sleep is one of the best ways. So would really, and I definitely, in Sleep Whispers, I kind of have something on YouTube. It's an audio, you can listen to it when you lie down. It teaches you to kind of, do certain kinds of breathing techniques to really relax and let go, and then work with specific parts of the body, because each part of the body is connected to a particular part of your brain, to relax that by just telling your hands to relax, telling your jaw to relax. That actually works on your brain. And then finally you drift into sleep, and something about my voice, people fall asleep.
There you go. Something about your voice. I had a gentleman on my show some time back, and he actually mentioned it would be great to watch a comedy, just a short clip or something before you sleep, just to put you in that happy sort of mode. And I've been doing that. I've been watching. Well, I love laughing, so I've been watching really amusing stuff before going to bed, because I think that also plays a huge part in how you're thinking at the time before you eventually go into that deep slumber.
Exactly. So it comes under the part of ritual of happiness, watching something funny. Preferably after 9, if you can cut down all sorts of lights, that will be great, because otherwise it might affect your melatonin production, because your screens, all of that, makes the brain start reduce the production of melatonin, and you need melatonin to fall asleep. So I always recommend happy, funny, silly, cute stuff, 7 to 9 p.m. And after 9 p.m., if at all you have to, watch screens, use blue light cutting amber glass. It's an orange colored, ugly looking glass which you wear. Okay, that cuts down a lot of the light, but preferably reduce the light, and maybe hug your family. That's much better.
That is such great advice. I've got to sleep with my little lamp shade on every single night. It's just a habit that I cannot sleep in complete darkness. So tonight it's going off. I'm going to try that. Yes.
It's always baby steps that will get you better results, because if you're used to the light and then suddenly you switch it off again, the brain is going to go, oh my God, what happened?
Yes.
Right. You might want to take it a bit slow. Maybe switch it off in between or something like that. Okay, or something like that, instead of going completely dark in the first go. Or maybe using a blindfold. That might even be better than switching it off in the first day. So because when we do something very suddenly, the body kind of tends to
reacts differently. Yes.
So
very, very, very impressive and interesting. So
thank you.
I'm very keen to know about your TEDx journey, being on the TEDx stage. How did that happen? Take me through that journey.
Wow. Okay. So again, I think I mentioned this a bit earlier to you as well, that somehow when we, want something, it just seems to magically happen. I recall, talking to an event manager. He was a friend, and I told him, hey, listen, I want to do a TEDx. Why don't you organize a TEDx? And I want to come and speak about my perfumery. And he was like, yeah, sure. And we left it. Few days later, I get a message on my Instagram saying that you've been selected for the TEDx that's coming up, and would you please I was fairly certain it's my friend playing a prank, so I did not reply. Because I didn't reply. So for 2 days, I didn't reply because I was very sure it's my friend playing a prank. Then I thought, okay, let me go ahead and reply. I replied, and it was actually real. So somebody had found my work, and yes, and it just happened. So many times things do happen when you have that desire, intense desire. In India, we call it Iccha Shakti. Shakti is your power. Iccha is your intense desire. Sometimes just desire is enough. But if it is not, then you need Kriya, actions. So maybe talking to people that you need to get into TEDx or something like that, Kriya, action. And you also need Gyan, motivating your methods. So it's not useful to talk to everyone. You need to find who should you talk to and how will you pitch. So sometimes you need all the three, but in this case, it was just an intense desire I had and I just put it out to the universe. And somehow when I say things out loud, it just happens.
That's wonderful. Yes, it's all about putting it out into the universe, and that's where you get the attraction, believing in divine intervention.
True, true. And yes, so I mean, and again in yoga, we speak about the heart chakra, anahata. So we also say that there is something called kalpataru, that's the wish-fulfilling tree near the heart chakra. So when you're purified till your heart, we say that the energy flows into kalpataru, the wish-fulfilling tree, and it starts to happen. So we say that, we think about the heart, the animal to be the antelope, the deer, take it, the kind of deer, it's constantly listening. So whatever your thoughts are, your heart is constantly listening. So, when you start purifying to your heart, you have to become mindful of what thoughts are coming in your mind because your heart is listening and manifesting. If you have lower chakras to work on, maybe, if we think in terms of, say, karma, it gets a bit complicated, but then, just think in terms of, there might be things that you need to finish off first. Once you do that and your heart is purified, then it's constantly listening and it's kind of, giving out whatever you ask for. So, ultimately your law of attraction also says the same thing, what is it that whatever is your thought, it becomes the reality that you will experience. But it has to be intense, Iccha Shakti.
I love it. I love the way you use the word intense. It has to be intense. But where to from here on?
Pardon?
Where to from here?
Where to from here? Okay. Like I said, I was hoping to set up my startup in Netherlands. So after COVID, most likely next year, I will be setting up. So it will be the personalized Ayurvedic perfumery and interventions. Meanwhile, since I'm in India right now, I'm in the process of launching essential oil blends. So I'm importing the best oils, that's Robertet oils from France, from Grasse, one of the oldest, best sustainable oils. And I'm blending them and I'm going to test it out in India. So that's, the next immediate project. Next year, fingers crossed, if universe wills it, I will be hopefully in Netherlands teaching, because I think I seem to find a huge connect there.
I wish you the best of luck. I know you're going to really achieve great success, and I would love to get a hold of your oils at some point and also visit you in India or the Netherlands, wherever you are. And please visit us in South Africa as well.
Thank you, Dr. Shamila. And I think I mentioned a bit earlier today that, it was just coincidence. Someone from South Africa did contact today asking about workshops. So things just happen and hopefully I will get to come and meet you. I mean, it's a place that I've always wanted to visit. So, I mean, as a kid, I've been crazy fan of National Geographic and Discovery, and I love the wild wilderness and forests and all that. And so I really, really hope to come visit and, see your beautiful country.
Lovely. It is absolutely beautiful. You will really enjoy it here. And yes, we hope to see you soon. And if somebody needs to get a hold of you, how do they contact you?
Okay, so the best way would be Instagram at Nuthin Manohar, Nuthan Manohar, or you can find me on Me Met Me. That's me, M-E-T, met, me.org. I'm available on LinkedIn, on Facebook. If you search for Nuthin Manohar, I'm the only person. So it's Nuthan Manohar. So thank you.
Me Met Me sounds like the Bollywood movie Jab We Met, I think. Yes, awesome. In closing, your last words, it's Women's Month in South Africa. What would be your best inspirational message to women across the globe?
I believe we have come far, I mean, from a long way from, how difficult things were. And I believe that if we constantly keep looking, for a brighter future, we will create it. It should be there within our heart first. What's a bright future that we want for ourselves, for all our sisters, whether it's equality, whether it's equal opportunity, whether it's inclusivity. If you kind of have that intense desire in your heart, you will find a way to create it for for yourself and for your sisters around you. And I think together we have a beautiful journey ahead as well. We have gone through a lot in the past, and now is our time. So God bless.
Thank you so much. Now is our time. That is the key words that we're going to take away with us today from Nuthin Manohar, Kerala, South India. Thank you for coming on to the Red Corner Show and sharing your journey and inspiration. We are so proud to have you on the show. Thank you very much, and I wish you the best of luck in everything that you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Shamila.
Thank you. Bye.